Welcome to this deep dive. Today we're exploring a topic that, well, it really touches everyone. How we honor those we've lost. It's often so incredibly difficult, isn't it? Finding the right words when someone dear is gone. But our sources suggest there's this powerful tool, something that acts like a bridge across that emotional gap grief leaves behind. Our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack an insightful piece by Oliver Remington. It's called Honoring Loved Ones Through Stories. And this article is backed by clinical studies, psychological insights, even folks in the funeral industry. It makes a really compelling case. A case for why storytelling, in all its forms, is maybe one of the most powerful ways we have to remember and to heal. So we're going to dive into why stories are so vital when you're navigating grief. And then we'll get practical, look at how you can actually use storytelling and remembrance. It's just fascinating, really, how something that seems so simple on the surface can have such a profound impact, on processing complex emotions, even fostering community. Okay, so let's get into it. How does something like a story achieve so much when we're dealing with grief? Our main source lays out, I think, 5 key ways stories really transform that experience of loss. They kind of build on each other.
Yeah, and what's remarkable, I think, is how stories go beyond just simple recollection. They become these active tools for healing, for connection.
Right. So first up, the article highlights how stories sustain memory and legacy. But how does that work exactly? Is it just remembering? Or is it something, I don't know, deeper, something that keeps their essence alive?
Oh, it's definitely deeper than just passive recall. It's much more active. Think of it like reconstruction. When we tell a story about someone we loved, we're not just remembering facts. We're kind of reliving and reaffirming their unique impact, their
They're
personality.
affirming. Okay.
Exactly. These narratives, they preserve that essence.
Hmm.
They solidify what some might call their narrative identity long after they're physically gone. They become living tributes. One of our sources, Remembering a Life, they point to that Margaret Atwood quote. In the end, we all become stories. It captures it perfectly.
That's powerful. So once those memories are sustained, how does that help with the emotional chaos of grief? It can feel so scattered. Does telling a story actually bring order to that?
It really can. Grief often does feel like just fragments, scattered pieces, emotions all over the place. Storytelling provides a kind of framework, a narrative structure. It lets you start fitting those emotional pieces together into something, well, coherent,
Hmm.
meaningful.
Ah, like putting the puzzle together.
Sort of, yeah. By recounting experiences, the funny ones, the tender ones, even the painful ones, we process these really complex feelings. We create a kind of emotional order through the narrative. And this isn't just, a nice idea. Clinical research actually supports expressive narrative therapy, things like writing grief narratives. It's seen as a genuinely effective tool for healing.
That's really interesting. So it has therapeutic value.
Absolutely. And organizations involved in bereavement support, like My Farewelling and Number Analytics, they really emphasize this therapeutic benefit. It's grounded in observation and data.
Okay. Now, it's so easy to feel incredibly alone when you're grieving. How do these personal stories then bridge that gap? How do they help us connect with others?
Well, grief isolates, doesn't it? But stories have this amazing ability to unite. When you hear someone else share their memories of the person, maybe a different perspective, it fosters empathy. It cuts through that profound sense of loneliness.
Hmm.
It helps transform mourning from this solitary burden into something more communal, a shared healing process. It's like a balm reminding you that, hey, you're not alone in feeling this loss.
That communal aspect sounds really important.
It is. And there's even some social psychology behind it. Studies suggest that being in storytelling circles, sharing like that, can actually boost
And
oxytocin.
bonding hormone.
Exactly, that one. It fosters trust, connection, and it can significantly lower stress levels, too. Sources like the Bereavement Center highlight findings like these.
Wow. Okay, so stories connect us. But what about our own inner world? Loss can really shake your whole worldview, make everything feel uncertain. Can stories help us find meaning again? Find some kind of continuity?
That's a really crucial question, isn't it? How do we navigate life after a significant loss? Storytelling plays a big role here. It helps us construct meaning. It builds a bridge between life before the loss and life after,
How does it do that?
through the narrative itself. By telling the story, we reaffirm core values, the importance of relationships, maybe even identify personal growth that came out of the experience, however painful. This whole meaning-making process, finding that thread of continuity, it's strongly linked to better psychological and physical well-being after bereavement.
Really? Physical well-being, too.
Yes, It's quite significant. And this isn't just anecdotal, it's a point that's reinforced by outlets like Psychology Today and major research repositories like NCBI PMC. So there's solid backing for that connection between narrative, meaning, and health.
Okay. So we've gone from memory to emotional processing, connection, meaning. What's the last piece? The article talks about stories becoming rituals. What does that mean for grieving publicly?
Right. Stories naturally lend themselves to becoming rituals. Think about it. They're spoken at a memorial service, right? Or maybe recorded in a tribute video shared online.
Hmm. Like eulogies, but maybe broader.
Exactly. Or even just informal sharing. These acts, these communal rituals, they validate the grief. They create this necessary space for expression, and they cultivate cultural supports around mourning, which we really need. Whether it's a traditional funeral service, something Kern's family might emphasize, or a modern online memorial, which you see discussed on places like Wikipedia, that structure storytelling provides. It offers comfort. It helps move towards a sense of closure, even if grief itself never fully ends.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we understand the why now, the power behind it. But what does this mean for you listening? How can we actively use storytelling to honor loved ones? The source gives some practical steps, right?
It does, and the great thing is the variety of options. There's really something for everyone, from very traditional methods to some pretty innovative, cutting-edge stuff.
So first step is just gathering the memories, right? Collecting those stories. Where do you even start with that?
Well, it can be simple. You could host, say, an informal get-together, just focused on sharing memories, people just chatting, reminiscing naturally.
Like a dinner or just coffee?
Exactly. Or if you want something a bit more structured, you could record audio or video interviews with family and friends, capture their specific recollections. And don't forget the kids. Even just asking children to draw or write down their favorite memory can bring out these beautiful, often really insightful stories.
That's a lovely idea. Okay, so you've gathered some stories. What next? How do you present them or keep them alive?
Well, there are so many formats. The article highlights quite a few. You've got the classic options like memory books or scrapbooks, very tangible, very personal.
Right, the physical keepsakes.
Yeah. Or you could go the writing route, blogs, essays, maybe even a full personal memoir if you feel called to that. And then for people who are more comfortable online, there are digital memorials, dedicated websites, even social media tributes. Those allow for sharing photos and stories really broadly, reaching a wider circle.
So lots of options depending on what feels right.
Mm.
But it's not just about collecting and formatting, is it? The source mentions creating new traditions around sharing.
Exactly. It's about making it active, ongoing. This could mean intentionally including a time for storytelling at, say, memorial services, or maybe on anniversaries, even during holiday
We're
gatherings.
making it a regular part of remembrance.
Precisely. And the key really is to invite others to contribute their stories and memories too. It turns remembrance from a solo activity into this shared communal experience, like weaving a tapestry together, a tapestry of that person's life.
It's a beautiful way to put it. And what about creativity? Are there other avenues there?
Oh, absolutely. For those who lean that way, you can incorporate stories into art therapy, maybe into crafts, or even just the simple, heartfelt act of writing letters to the loved one. And here's where it gets, well, kind of futuristic and exciting. The source mentions these emerging options like AR-enhanced storybooks.
AR, augmented reality.
Yeah, drawing on some cutting-edge research you might find on platforms like Archive. Imagine storybooks that can actually animate family memories, bringing them to life across generations. It's this incredible way of connecting past and future through story.
Wow, that's really something. It makes it so clear, this whole deep dive, that stories are so much more than just memories, aren't they?
Far more, they're vessels. Vessels for emotional truth, for connection, for legacy.
They genuinely help us process grief, honor the lives lost, and importantly, enrich the lives of those who come after, creating this living heritage.
Yeah, connecting it to the bigger picture, it just highlights the profound impact, often underestimated, I think, of intentional remembrance, and actively inviting others into that process.
So as a final thought for you to maybe reflect on, the source suggests this really powerful shift in how we respond to someone grieving. Instead of that common phrase, I can't imagine, which can sometimes feel a bit distancing,
Hmm.
try asking this instead. Tell me about them.
Just that simple invitation, tell me about them. As the article highlights, that act alone can lift such a huge emotional burden. It deepens empathy. It truly helps transform loss from just an absence into a living heritage. It invites that connection, that validation. It turns a moment of sorrow into an opportunity for shared remembrance, for lasting meaning. It gives the person and those who remember them the real gift of their story.